So you have some sort of parasitic memory of these people, like, oh, you know, I love my dad, and he's just somewhere in your head, kind of like gnawing away at your brain or heart or something like that. And I don't like thinking of family members.
Also, says that we're all just thoughts, like memories.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. Yeah.
Well, you could also say the loss of a particular identity is a death. So therefore, particular phases and thought patterns in my life, you know, that version of Kelly is dead. So there, you know, there could be, you know, like 20 or some odd dead Kellys that have been replaced by me, you know, because I killed them all, you know, horrifically and chopped them up and whatever else. And, you know, maybe sometime down the line as my perceptions change and my identity changes, you know, I'm going to be dead. So, you know, you can think of death in more of an abstract sense, and it would work really just as well. Because once again, we are making a distinction between material and immaterial death, you know, and I don't think material death goes beyond, you know, biological function, but immaterial has a lot more interpretation and things to consider.
But if you'll excuse the term, if we could just bury this in more concrete terminology, death. To understand death, one needs to understand life. I think what we're just trying to get at is, with the question whether or not you would rather die or live forever,
sure.
With your physical shell, never mind your personalities, never mind, you know, different versions of you or anything like that. If your personal shell would die and rot away and, you know, return to the earth or whatever, would you rather that or continue on forever and live in that respect? And if I understood the question right, if you live forever, you're going to continue accumulating experiences, good, bad, whatever. And that seems to be the crux of the question, whether or not you want to continue gathering experience or not. Because death, if I had to give my own definition of death, I would say, and I don't think this is anything profound, the negation of all experience, all physical stimulus, which means that when I die, I'm no longer going to be able to see, think, speak, act in any form or fashion. And if my brain or mind or soul is still, you know, floating around the ether, in some form able to get new experience or gather new experience, then I'm not truly dead in that respect. That's just, you know, some sort of like Christian nonsense about how the soul lives forever. It's true. If the soul keeps gathering experience, whether it's in heaven or hell, even if, you know, you're in hell and you're experiencing pain every single day, it's not dead. You're still experiencing something. So I take death to mean the total negation of any experience whatsoever. And that's something that you can slice in different ways. Like if you want to take from an immaterial stance the idea that, well, the person who I was at 12 is no longer the person I am at 20. So that 12-year-old me is dead and gone. But that's just really more of an evolution, if anything else. You evolve from experiences, you learn from different things, mistakes or whatever, and so you've grown into a different person. More, not so much dying as it is a snake shedding its skin. But that's, I don't know, that was my long tirade.
I agree with you there too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like getting fans.
I was already on that wagon before.
So, what we're saying right now, there's no experience. If you don't experience anything, and you die,
Then you're dead. If you're incapable of formulating any sort of experience, then you're dead.
Has anybody ever blacked out before?
Or not alive.
Or been unconscious?
Hell yeah, all the time.
All right, so
last
basically,
night.
Isn't a deprivation of experience an experience itself?
well, deprivation. Well, that's interesting. I don't know. I think.
You're talking about like sense deprivation, things like that, like those tanks and things like that, where, you know, they put those masks on, or like sometimes
in a coma.
Or coma, yeah. I would say
Or
that-
solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're experiencing something.
That's a little bit different. They can be dreams, because you're still.
You're dreaming is
That's right. Exactly.
If you could understand things that's going on internally in your brain.
You don't know you're experiencing anything. Or, well, I don't know, I've never been in a coma.
What under anesthesia, where you don't have any recollection of that experience died?
Right.
But apparently there are certain testimonies of coma patients who suddenly awoken from their coma that suggest they were.
Oh, yeah, they hear everything.
Right.
They heard everything.
They were able to, maybe not cognitively, but in some abstract
understand that people were talking to them, or people were
Right,
touching them.
sense some
cutting
sort of
their hair.
stimulus.
Don't they have like dreams as well too?
That's another thing.
form of
Dreams
experience.
are, yeah, dreams are an experience of something. So I
Johnny
guess,
got his gun.
yeah, there you go. I guess what I'm trying to say then, in reaction to anesthesia or coma questions, if you're able to dream, if it can be proven that there's some sort of activity going on in your brain, in some sense that you can experience something, then you're alive. But death meaning total negation.
Well,
No,
then that negates the coma theory at all, because if there isn't any function in your brain, you are physically dead.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just narrow it down to concrete death. Like,
Yeah.
what is death in a material sense?
So in a material sense, that means we die every time we black out. Because we're not experiencing anything. Your consciousness is literally not there. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, what happened?
But have you ever had a dream when you blacked out?
Well, dreams are different because dreams are actually experiencing something.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're experiencing something, even if you're not physically experiencing stimulus. The fact that you can experience a dream or a nightmare while blacked out or under anesthesia or in a coma means that you can are experiencing something.
Well-
and that seems to negate or contradict what I just said about how death being the negation of all experiences. If you can experience something, even if it is a dream or a nightmare, you are alive.
But, okay, so if we're going to put in a par, a dream and a blacking out, it seems to me that in one, you're not experiencing anything at all. In a dream or when you're high or when you're like under some sort of mode of, I don't know, some sort of altered consciousness, you're still experiencing something. I no doubt agree, but when you're blacked out, if somebody like hits you in the temple or whatever, and you wake up maybe about, I don't know, so often later, a couple hours, and then this whole gap right here, you have no recollection of. Maybe it's a thing about recollection, I don't know.
I got
The recollection or not, maybe you suffered blunt force trauma.
That's all I'm
Well,
realizing.
the thing is, I think we may, I don't know, it could be me misunderstanding or we are in general, but if there's a materialistic world, even if we black out or not, like thoughts don't really exist, it's just brain waves or so, it's physical, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that, basically, even if we don't have any experiences or so, like if we black out, we're dead, it's not really that way, it's more in the sense of, the physical body is not capable of moving or it's not alive, I want to say, but it doesn't have that living force within it regardless. It's an illusion, you know what I'm saying? So I think that taking a few philosophy classes, that's what I understood from it, and materialism is more in the sense of like, we have an illusion that we do have a reality and we're living here, it's more physical. I could be wrong, but yeah, I used to have thoughts, you know, so whatever. I think I understand
If
it.
you really want to fuck around with people, then what about people who died and came back?
Oh, that's good. I mean, but then again, I mean, if we understand this, if we're looking at that in the same scope as materialism, in the way that we've been defining it, that there wouldn't be any special case in those that have just been blacking out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it parallels that very nicely. But the one important difference is that these people actually died. I mean, medically speaking, they're dead. Their heart stopped, or their brain function ceased. Or so the difference between blacking out and dying is that blacking out, you still have maybe very. I've never actually looked at the brain functions when someone's blacked out, but you still have the brain operating. You're still breathing. Your heart's still beating. Blood's still pumping. When you're dead, that stuff stops. I mean, even if it's only for a minute, technically speaking, you're dead. Not even technically speaking, literally speaking, if we're going by medically, this literal interpretation of negation of experience, you are dead, and then you came back.
Sure.
What the fuck does that mean? How does that one work?
Well, did you say? I'm just making sure I got your wording correct. Did you say life is experience like memory? Something like that. What did you say?
Under what sense? Like right now we're talking about materialism, so
Oh.
under this, thoughts, memories, recollection, all that is simply, I think as Tony put it, really brainwaves, but there's no meaningful understanding behind it.
Okay, well, my question is, and I don't like to admit this, but here's a little tidbit about me. Although I'm not an angry person, I have an extremely long fuse. When I get angry, I occasionally black out. I do not recall anything that happens during this time. I might scream at people.
5 people are
If
dead around you.
if some, in a really extreme case, never happened yet, but, I may get in a fight. I just do not remember what happens during this time. But I am certainly biologically alive. I just have no recollection of a period of, maybe 30 minutes, 20, 10, any short period of time. It's, it's just, or it could just be really blurry, so there's an example of not having recollection, and yet I don't have any expectation that I was dead during this time.
But you would still experience something.